Hello, welcome to the second part of this lecture. We are going to talk about food presentation. Okay, why is food presentation even a topic? I am sure we have all heard of the saying, we eat first with our eyes. Okay, so why is food presentation important? It increases the value of the food served. Okay, when something looks good, if you feel that it's worth more. It's a better dining experience when everybody has a nice plated dish in front of them. It builds the reputation of the dining establishment, of course. Okay, if something looks good, the diners have a good experience, they will tell other people about it. It gives your chefs, and chefs are all artists, by the way, a room to play with their creativity. And when chefs are able to display and expand on their creativity, it helps them to be more satisfied at their jobs and encourages them to come up with new and better dishes. Increased profits, definitely. When food is deemed to be worth more when it looks better, customers are actually willing to pay a slightly higher price, and definitely that will increase your profits. And of course, free advertising. I mean, every time somebody has a nice meal in front of them, now it's very standard for people to take pictures and upload to Instagram. And when we look at our friends' feeds on what they're eating, there's a high chance that we will actually go and look for the same dishes. And of course, customers will be more satisfied because they will deem that they have a better meal when it looks better and it smells better. The satisfaction already starts when they see something that looks very delicious and smells very delicious. Okay, so what are the components of food presentation? There is form and color, texture and temperature, sauce, garnishes, serving vessels. Okay, so let's talk about food placement first, okay? Basic food placement, the main would be between 3 and 9 o'clock, starch 9 to 11 o'clock, vegetables 11 to 3 o'clock. What do I mean? Let's take a look, okay? So as you can see, main is at the bottom, starch is at the top left-hand corner, and the vegetables is on the top right-hand corner. A real-life example. All right. Okay, so as you can see, this is a very standard, some call it traditional, some call it classical food placement guideline. And then we have landscape. Landscape is very much like gardening. Okay, you want to have a very nice sculpted garden that looks very pretty, and this is an example. Okay, sometimes there's a little bit of stacking involved. Think about like Japanese gardens or French gardens that's very neatly manicured, very deliberate. Okay, another example. Okay, usually this style, usually the sauces go around. There's some sort of stacking, either the meat on the vegetables or the meat on the starch. Okay, and then there's freeform placement. Okay, it is inspired by modern and abstract painting. So actually for freeform, the sky is the limit. Okay, there is absolutely anything and everything that you can perform. Okay, like in this style, it's like a linear approach. Okay, the various ingredients are placed. Okay, in a long form. And there's also this, it looks random, but it definitely is not. Okay, but the various ingredients are placed all around. Same for this, looking random, but not. Okay, in Asia, one dish meals are very popular, and nowadays with poke bowls, with dawn bowls, with all our healthy bowls, it's gotten even more popular. And for one dish meals, the starch is often, but not always, often placed in the center of the bowl, and the proteins will be placed on top of the starch, and vegetables are placed around on the sides. But there are many, many exceptions to this guideline. Okay, and the most important thing though is that you want to highlight the color and the texture in a one dish meal bowl. Okay, let's take a look. This is a quinoa dish. As you can see, the vegetables, which is the cherry tomatoes, are mixed in with the quinoa, and the meat, which is the chicken breast, is placed on top with garnishes of coriander and red peppers. And for this item, it is a one dish meal as well because all the things are stacked. Okay, you have your starch at the bottom, and then you have your meat, okay, your lobster and your steak, and then the vegetables on the side. Very classic. Our Asian stir fry, okay, a lot of times for Asian stir fries, the meat is stir fried with the starch, okay, so you would put them together and then the vegetables go on top to add color and texture. Okay, This is a standard healthy bowl. Okay, you can see how every ingredient can be seen, so the rules of stacking is no longer there. Okay, everything is placed around so that visually you get impressed straight away and you see all the healthy ingredients that you want to ingest. Okay, form and color. Let's see. For form and color, you look for congruence or you look for contrast. Let's take a look back to our healthy bowl. There is a lot of color contrast here. You have greens and then you have different shades of yellow and brown. Okay, so you want the colors to contrast. But yet at the same time, you have three different greens, right? The asparagus, the avocados, and the peas. So there's a little bit of congruence in there as well. Back to this dish, okay, there's a lot of contrast in the colors, okay. As you can see, you have greens in the garnish, you have the little violets in the garnish as well. Those colors are meant to contrast with the items, okay, which is very much brown and white. If without the garnishes, it will look really, really flat with no color contrast at all. And for this, you can see it's very deliberate that the meat is red and the asparagus are green, so that creates a very, very nice contrast in color. And for this is a congruence in the shapes actually. The sticks that are cut up with the stuffed tomatoes, they actually have a very similar shape. And for this, okay, we can look at the contrast in the shapes. Okay, the fish is actually cut into a rectangular shape, and then you have circles like the sauces, okay, like your little onions that are round, and then you have this garlic shoot, I think, okay, that's long, and you have the flowers that have a very, very different shape. So there's a lot of contrast going on here in terms of the form, okay. And for this dish, very interesting. Okay, salmon is never round, right? But it has been shaped into a round item, and then it's put in a round bowl. So there's congruence there. Okay, congruence in color. It's a white dish, okay, with white sauce, and the main item is white with white garnish. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we always look for contrast. Sometimes chefs like this are very artistic and they want to make a statement by making it very congruent. And how about this? Okay, a black dish. Okay, it looks like a squid ink with some squid ink jelly in the center, maybe. Okay, so it's all black. Okay, so the chef is trying to make a statement by using, by looking for congruence in black. Okay, this one very interesting. The shapes, okay, there is congruence and there is also contrast. Everything is placed in this long, okay, side by side aligned. There is some sort of shape that is very similar, very organic shape, but yet they are not the same. Okay, you can see the yellow petal, okay, but the longishness of all the shapes are there and it's placed in a row for you to see the congruence. Okay, now let's talk about texture and temperature. We always try to achieve the optimal temperature for the food to be served to the customer. You want your customers to eat the hot dishes hot and cold dishes cold, right? And that is always a challenge. And it's very interesting how texture, okay, which is how something feels, like your crunchy peanut butter versus your creamy peanut butter. The difference is only the texture. But it can manipulate the flavor, right? A lot of people feel that the crunchy peanut butter tastes different. I don't know which is saltier, which is sweeter. Same for temperature, okay? Something that is sweet or salty tastes a lot more bland when it's very hot, okay? But once it's cooled down, okay, it tastes sweeter and tastes saltier. So when you're serving the dish that is hot, okay, you can actually make it sweeter or saltier. But when it's serving something cold, you would actually be very, very careful, okay, and make sure that you do not over salt or over sugar your dish. Let's take a look. Our very familiar hot pot, okay? The soup is constantly boiling, so your food is always hot. These are, they look like clams, okay? They're served on ice, so they're cold. They might even be served raw, okay? So you must make sure they're cold to keep them hygienic actually, okay? And some of these, you can see this dish, right? There's a charcoal, burning charcoal. It keeps the food hot, okay? And bibimbap, right? It's always served in a stone bowl. Why is that? Because a stone bowl can actually maintain the temperature of the food. And in Korea, where bibimbap is from, it's very cold. okay, in the winters. So it's very important that the food can maintain its heat. Okay, and how about this? Cold soba. Okay, in Japan, it's always eaten in winter, where it's very, sorry, in summer, where it's very hot, and it's served on ice to keep it cold, chilled. Okay, if it's not cold enough, it actually doesn't taste as good. And actually, the chilling has another effect in making sure that the cooking of the noodles stop, so that your noodles are springy. Okay, if the cooking continues, the noodles might become soggy. Okay, keeping it chilled is a way to keep it springy. And clay pots. Clay pots are known to keep food very, very hot. In fact, a boiling food, right, when taken off the stove in a clay pot, would continue to boil. That's how good the clay pot is in keeping heat. So when you eat food from a clay pot, the wonderful thing about it is it will remain hot for quite a while until you finish the meal, actually. Okay, this is the contrast in texture actually. Okay, you have this pudding, okay, that I would imagine is a little bit mushy. Okay, you have the ice cream, there's a texture difference, okay, and of course, most importantly, the temperature difference. Ice cream is cold. And you have this sugar on top, okay, that is crispy. Okay, there's a little bit, I would definitely say it's not hot, right? Because if it's hot, it would probably be melted. Okay, but it is crunchy. Okay, it would add a different texture with the smooth ice cream and the mushy pudding. So you can see there's a play of texture and temperature in this dessert dish. Okay, moving on. Cutting, molding, and shaping. Very important in food presentation. Western cuisine uses molding or shaping to achieve height. In Asian cuisine, we like to use fruits and vegetables, and then we like to carve them. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, I'm sure we have seen this at wedding dinners. Okay, they usually carve like the carrots, especially, okay, into very magnificent shapes. Like in this case, I think it's a phoenix. And this is a classic molded dish, okay, in Western cuisine. And because of the using a mold, which in this case would be a circle mold, there's height that can be achieved. Okay, sauce, very important, okay? Sauces create an additional layer of depth, okay, and flavor, okay? A contrasting sauce can make your food, bring out certain flavors in the food. Also decoration, okay, without the sauce some foods will not look as good. Okay, sauce is like paint, it's semi-liquid, so you can do a lot with it in terms of color, and it's a visual element that actually you can use to hold all the different ingredients together. Okay, sauce comes in different colors, different consistencies, and different textures. There's many ways you can use sauce. You can drizzle or pour over, okay, or some plating methods, you put them along the side, or even stack your dishes over the sauce. That means you put the sauce on the food, on the dish first before you put the food. Or sometimes you put them in its own vessel. Let's take a look. In this case, you can see the sauce is used for decoration, okay, the way that is artistically, drizzled on the plate. This is an example of the sauce going on the dish first, okay, before the food is stacked on top. And then you can see the color of the sauce is very important, right? The color actually is a contrast, okay, with the meat color, but it also has congruence with some of the garnish color, which is the pea sprouts. If you can notice, there's actually a different sauce underneath the meat. There's this, it looks like a vinaigrette kind of sauce. Again, that sauce was actually on the dish before the meat was plated. Okay, so you can see how the sauce can actually bring out the visual elements of this dish. And I'm sure the taste is very important because a lot of these dishes, if they are like roasted, if they're grilled, they're dry, the sauces actually help to make them more palatable by bringing in a bit of moisture. This is a classic example of a blanket sauce. Okay, the sauce is blanketed over the meat. Okay, sauce that goes under. Okay, this is a more broth type of sauce, much more liquid as compared to the sauce earlier, which was very thick. Sauce that is used like ink on a canvas, okay, like painting. But you can see that how it actually holds the dish together visually, and I'm sure in terms of the taste and flavor as well. Okay, I'm sure we've all had fondue before, okay? The sauce for chocolate fondue is contained on its own. You don't put everything together, okay? Same for this dish, okay? It looks like a souffle and the sauce is put on the side. The diner would combine by themselves. I'm sure we've had, sandwiches or salads where they put, or like fish and chips where they put your tartar sauce on the side, or your salads where they put dressings on the sides. Okay, serving vessels, very, very interesting. It is where you can really display creativity. Okay, size is important, shape, color, material, and the sky is the limit. Let's take a look. You can see how using a big plate versus using a small plate has a very different visual effect on your food. When you use a small plate, the food looks very big. But does it help to make the food look better? Okay, when you use the big plate, does it mean that your food will look very little? Not necessarily. Okay, so always have proportion in mind. Okay, your plate should not look overcrowded, but neither should it look very empty. But then again, some finer dining restaurants intentionally make their food look very small on very big plates. So again, it is a balance that you need to achieve. Square plates, round plates with funny colors like blue, which we were told that we shouldn't use, but a lot of restaurants like to break the rules. And this is what we meant, right? Okay, the proportion might seem very off for some people. One small little, I don't know what is that, truffle, chocolate truffle maybe, on a very big plate. Okay, but if in finer dining this works, in your casual dining, please be careful and maybe not so suitable. Okay, glass plates, okay, different materials. Wooden plates, this is so popular nowadays. Almost every finer dining establishment must serve something on this kind of, sliced tree trunks. This is so funny to me actually. I just showed this. I just want to show you guys this for laughs. You can actually serve food on a beer can. And how about this? Okay, you can. These are deep fried. They look like Thai fish cakes to me. Okay, you can actually pack them up like washing on the line. And I thought this was actually quite fun to do. Serving food in the preparation material, like this is a mortar and pestle, okay, the mortar, not the pestle. Okay, so it gives a flavor that's very rustic, that the food is actually very homemade, using the right tools, not and using traditional methods. Yeah. This was also, I thought, something really interesting. This looks like a British fry-up breakfast, and it's actually served in a spade. Okay, very English countryside kind of feel that the restaurant is trying to achieve. I'm sure you have all seen these, right? Foods that serve that in the fryer container, fryer baskets. And when you go to ethnic restaurants, it's nice when they serve food using traditional ways, like using banana leaves, using baskets that's very rustic. It makes you feel that it's very traditionally made. And for some of these, I think it's a Dutch baby, right? Okay, it's served using the Dutch baby saucepan. Okay, let's talk about garnishes. Okay, very important. They add color, especially for monochromatic dishes. You want to make them pop with, when the color is too flat, you want to make it pop, you use garnishes. Sometimes it's for contrast in terms of the scent. Okay, a lot of garnishes, they add scent for texture, for taste, or for color. It can be functional, okay? Sometimes it's to enhance the taste of the food, like, lemon wedges when you eat fish and chips. Then you can squeeze the lemon on the fish and, that brings out the seafood flavor. Sometimes it's non-functional, it's just for decor, okay? Let's take a look at some examples. Sorry, sometimes it's to fill up the plate, okay? Because sometimes you don't want your plate to look too empty. You don't want people to think your portion is too small. You use garnish to bump it up a little bit. Okay, lemon with fish fillets, very standard. You can see if without the garnishes, right, which is I think it's dill, chopped capers and lemons, the fish fillets would just look brown and dry and boring. Okay, so the garnishes definitely add the color and the texture and the flavor. And I think for the herbs, right, the dill, it adds the scent. Okay, where's the garnish here? The garnish is actually the mint leaf. The mint leaf would actually help to bring down the meaty taste, in this case, I think, of the lamb. Okay, for this dish, if the top is just like these brown cookie crumbs, right, or crumble, I'm not sure. Okay, the raspberry adds a pop of fresh color on top. Same for this. The little crackers, graham crackers, actually make it visually interesting, don't you think? And it gives you a hint of, what's used in the ingredients. Possibly the grahams were used as a base. These are examples of non-functional, what do you call that, garnish. Okay, these umbrellas, they cannot be eaten, but we always associate umbrellas with cocktails. Okay, so they are just there for visual purpose, nothing else. Nowadays, these are called naked cakes. These naked cakes, people always like to use like flowers, fresh flowers, fresh fruits as the garnish. Okay, without the garnish, the cake might just look very flat and plain. Okay, let's think about balance. Balance is not a component, but it's not a scene component, but it is how all the different elements come together, and if they're able to work together or not. Okay, because we combine different shapes and colors, right? We must always make sure that there's balance. But when we say balance, it doesn't mean that it has to be asymmetrical. You've all learned in visual merchandising that asymmetrical can work as well. Okay, but it's about visual weight. Different textures, and think about negative space. I know earlier we talked about garnish filling up the plate, but sometimes you want to leave a bit of white space. Okay, look at the negative space. Okay, half of the dish is actually intentionally left blank. That's what we mean by negative space. Okay, it can be very artistic, and there's a lot of balance here, even though it's not symmetrical. Okay, it's intentionally asymmetrical. Different textures, different colors here. In fact, I think there are 3 different styles here. There's the splatter of the sauce at the base. There is the tuna sashimi placed in a neat row. And then there's this wave, okay, of the garnish that goes across, that's made of flowers and fruits and vegetables. There's beets, there's grilled corn, there's cucumbers, okay, and flowers that goes across. Okay, so it's 3 different styles: splatter, neatly aligned, and then a wave. But there's a certain balance there. You might think that's, oh yeah, well and good for fine dining, but what about casual dining, cafe, speed eating? Yeah, there's also balance. Look at how this dish, there's balance achieved, okay, even though it's just a simple sandwich, but the way it's arranged, the way you can see every layer on the sandwich, that's balance. Okay, there's balance in the colors, balance in the texture of this dish, even though there's different kind of elements. There's round tomatoes, round edamame, but then there's the sliced carrots, and then there's the long pods, there's the roundish lotus root that goes with the meat. So you can see there's a bit of balance going on here, right? Certain items are sliced and certain items are cut into halves, okay? Okay, now let's look at some of the tools that we can use for plating. So many, so many. Actually, it is up to you to be creative on what you want to use. But here are some of them. We have the squeeze bottles, very important, especially for emulsion sauces. You can use them to be very exact with how you place your sauce. There's that circle that's used for molding. And then you can see the peeler in the center. Okay, you can peel it in long, or you can peel them in thin slices. There's this shaper kind of spreader in the center, and can you all see this little pipette thing? Okay, this pipette is actually used sometimes for interaction. That means you leave the sauce in the pipette on the dish, so customers can use it themselves. All right. Spoons and tweezers are very important. A lot of finer dining chefs always use tweezers because they can be very exact in where they want to place each petal of the garnish. Okay, these are the molds that can be used to achieve the molded dishes that we saw earlier. Very interesting. This is a melon baller. Okay, so you use this to create to shape round melon balls. It can be watermelon, it can be rock melon, and not just using to shape melons. Actually, you can use them to shape a lot of different types of fruits and vegetables, if you can think of it. Okay, egg slicer. You want to create perfect slices, you have to use an egg slicer. These are actually silicone brushes. Sometimes sauces are brushed across the plate to create that very artistic effect, the painting effect. Okay, very interesting. I want to show you guys this. Anything looks good when plated well. Look at this dish. It's so beautifully plated, right? It looks like some finer dining restaurant. But what are the items? It's actually a corn dog, okay? A corn dog. and then two slices of the corn dog are placed, okay, with some sauces. What sauces is that? I think it's ketchup actually, ketchup and mustard maybe. And then there's ham, there's rolled up, okay, artistically placed, okay. And then look at the other garnishes. I think those are, you know, those cheap crackers that you can buy in packets. So why am I showing you this? Because I want to tell you that when you plate your food well, anything can look good, even convenience store food like this. In fact, if you like to follow this chef Jacques Lamert, he is an expert in this. All of his entire Instagram account is filled with food that is bought at a convenience store but plated beautifully. Okay, so take a look. It's really interesting. Some of the items that he has found and he has recreated on a plate. Okay. And these are your tutorial questions. Remember, this coming week we are going to be doing an e-tutorial. So please make sure that you create your menu and save it as a JPEG or PNG so that during the e-tutorial, if you're called to present, you can upload it into the LMS for everyone to see, and also show a dish and discuss its plating techniques. Okay? We'll have fun at the e-tutorial. See you guys soon.